What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and it's amazing. 2 games is all it took for me to lose faith in Tuchel. 2 games. Because 2 games in a row, complete and utter moron. So yeah, let's talk about it. First of all, talk about the referee. Because first half, he was fine. It was actually a fairly well-kept game. He wasn't calling any of the silly stuff. They were diving all over the place, but he was like, nah, I'm not going to call that, which was fine. And then all of a sudden, it started to flip near the end of the first half. Like, he called one where Kovacic literally gets the ball off Cuadrado, who then flops, and then falls to a Juventus player who blasts it over, and he's like, no, I'm going to bring that back for that non-foul, which even if it was a foul, you don't bring it back because they wasted their advantage by kicking it over. Like, that was the advantage. Advantage played, he missed his shot. You don't give him another shot. I hate it when referees do that. And then second half, it all went Juventus' way because they started flopping everywhere. He was starting to give the flops all the time, just everything. And then Havertz gets his legs tangled up with a clumsy challenge from behind from the defender and no penalty. Which, I mean, I'm not saying it should have been a penalty based on, the fact that it really wasn't that much contact and he goes over. Probably not a penalty. But based on what he's giving Juventus throughout the entirety of the second half, that's a penalty. I mean, the defender comes from behind, he does catch his leg a little bit, and then he goes over. That has been a foul the entire half. And suddenly now that Havertz is doing it, it's not a foul anymore. So, yeah, he lost the plot in the second half, and it started all going the home team's way. Which is funny because there were a couple, there was one late challenge from Cuadrado. He comes sliding in on Chilwell, and Juventus manager, and they showed Keane going nuts. I'm just like, you guys have been getting all these favors throughout the entire second half, and suddenly now the one challenge that was a foul is called a foul, and now you guys just feel so aggrieved. Come on. Either that or they were upset with Cuadrado for making the challenge because it gave us possession. I don't know. But anyway, so referee was bad, but doesn't justify our play. Can't blame the referee for a bad performance, another bad performance. And yeah, Tuchel, let's talk about it again, because, one of the things that was talked about earlier this season, through this great run of games we had, was his ability to make changes, his ability to change the game in our favor. 2 games in a row now, we needed to make a change at halftime. Halftime of the Man City game needed a change. We were so defensive. We were letting them have so much possession. We were letting them just attack, and we weren't countering it all. No changes. They score. And then we change. And it's too late because now we're chasing the game, and that allows Man City more time to play. This game, we needed to make a change. We needed to go a bit more attacking. We needed to get on Werner because there was no movement up top. Well, he changes Chilwell for Alonso, and then not only that, but then we just give away a goal at the beginning of the second half. Because it was getting lazy as the half wore on. A bunch of stupid decisions in the first half, a bunch of stupidity on the ball. So you would think, halftime talk, all right, hey, calm down, use your brains, stop making stupid decisions, stop just going into challenges with no care, stop losing track of your man, stop giving the ball away cheaply. Second half, we start off and instantly just turn off, no sense of where everybody is. Jorginho loses track of his man, then Silva steps out. Rudiger reads the situation too late, so now he's chasing Chiesa, and then lucky deflection, goal. 2 games in a row. Needed a change. No change. Give away a goal. Lose 1-0. How can it happen 2 games in a row, Tuchel? For a man who's been called a brilliant man and a genius, I thought he was brilliant. But this is 2 games in a row that the same freaking thing has happened. So how can a brilliant man make this kind of mistake? He can't. It's a moron that makes this kind of mistake. So clearly Tuchel's a moron, and I've been fooled into thinking he's a genius. But yeah, so just game is not going our way second half. We're still not creating chances. We're still looking slow. We still have not changed our style of play at all from the first half. So it's a lot of possession that leads to nothing. And I'm thinking, okay, we just need to get Werner on. Werner needs to come on either for Lukaku, for Ziyech, for Havertz, one of them. Provide some movement. Get him on there because he'll work his butt off. He'll open up chances for players around him. And you've used up all 5 subs. Where's Werner? What the heck? So first sub was Chilwell for Alonso. Okay, fine. You wanted to give Chilwell some minutes. You wanted to get some more pace on the left side. Okay, fine. Next three subs are Chalobah, Loftus-Cheek, and Hudson-Odoi. And so now you've got Hudson-Odoi playing on the right. You've got Chalobah and Loftus-Cheek with Kovacic in the middle. It's a bit more defensive. We needed more creativity. We needed more movement in the final third. The only real attacking substitution in that was bringing Hudson-Odoi on for Spilicueta because he's going to drive a bit more than Spilicueta does. But that's it. Loftus-Cheek, he's a bit harder of a worker. But Chalobah's just, he's a defender. And you're playing him as a defensive mid. Okay. And then he brings on Barkley. And at that point now I'm just thinking, for that one sub alone, he should be fired. Because you've brought on Ross Barkley to try to save the game. Palm, meet face. It just, what? How does... I could go on about a 10-minute rant, because I already did. I already went on a 10-minute rant to myself as I was watching the game about what a stupid decision that was. So I'm not going to do that here, because it should be obvious why you don't bring on Ross Barkley when you've got Timo Werner on the bench. Your one problem, I don't know if it was obvious to anybody else, but to me, I'm watching the game and I'm thinking, we need more movement. Lukaku is a statue. Havertz is moving like a slug today. We need more pace. We need more movement up top. Werner would have given that. And he brings on Ross Barkley. You can't defend that decision. I don't care if you want to try to defend that decision. You can't defend that decision. That is a dumb decision from Tuchel. And guess what? Didn't change a thing. Still a bunch of possession outside the box. The only thing that changed the game in our favor is actually what Allegri did. And he made them much, much more defensive. So now they're defending inside their box, which actually allowed us to get a lot more chances inside the box. Because they started dropping deeper and deeper and deeper, which allowed us to just keep pushing them back. I don't know why he decided to do that, because the way they were defending in the first half was fine. You just stay outside the box, keep us knocking it around like their midfield third, on their side of the field, because we didn't have really any creativity. We didn't have any movement. So all they needed to do was just keep us out of the box. And yet for some reason for the last 10, 15 minutes they were defending inside the box. So it was just like, okay, that's good for us, and sure enough our best chances came because of that. But we didn't do anything, Tuchel did not do anything to make us better in the second half. Again, Hudson-Odoi coming on was not a bad option. Loftus-Cheek, I will say, was also not a bad option. But his other three subs didn't really do anything. Chilwell, unfortunately, didn't do anything. Chalobah coming on, he worked hard, but he didn't really bring it what we needed. He didn't give us what we needed going forward. Barkley was a crap sub. It was a waste of a sub. So Tuchel for me is, obviously, I know I'm kind of a more negative person, so things start going wrong, and I'm one of those people that's like, Tuchel out! And I know that's very ridiculous. He's lost 2 games, so to call for his job at this point is a ridiculous notion. But I will say he's now no longer the same person I thought he was. He's no longer the same brilliant coach that I thought he was at the beginning of the year, because these 2 games have shown me he's still very fallible. He's still got a lot of holes and gaps. And honestly, I don't think it mattered what striker we got in, whether it was Lukaku, whether it was Haaland, whether it was Kane. I don't think it mattered what striker we brought in this summer, because his tactics and the way he sets us up hurts whatever striker we have in there. Werner has been able to work through it because he's a hard worker and he busts his butt all around the field. He's not your typical striker that's waiting for the balls to come in. But you look at Giroud, you look at Abraham, now Lukaku's coming and he's shooting blanks every game. Tuchel's tactics hurt strikers. So until he can figure out how to work his tactics, how to adjust it to where the strikers can start benefiting, I think it doesn't matter what striker, what world-class striker you bring in, because they're always going to suffer as long as Tuchel's tactics are involved. So, yeah, that's where I am right now with him. I'm not saying he should be fired, but I'm definitely not singing his praises anymore, because these 2 games have really put me in a bad mood when it comes to Tuchel. Anyways, let's talk about individual performances. Mendy, he did fine. It's another deflected goal, so it's not much he can do. He came out, he was big, and it's just one of those. Chiesa lifts it, and it gets lucky because it flicks off of Rudiger's toe and puts it in the upper corner. And yeah, I mean, there's nothing really you can do about that as a keeper. And as far as being on the ball, because we did use him a few times, maybe a little bit quicker with his passes and releasing whenever it's in his hands. Just because there were a lot of times where I feel like we needed to get some more momentum, and he'd get the ball and then wait and then release. And so it's just he wasn't the only one. All around the field, it was just way too slow, but it starts from him. He's the one that gets the attack started. And when your attack is starting with he's holding it for a few seconds and then releasing when he had the option 3 seconds ago, it does sort of contribute to the overall slowness of the play. The back three, or at least the original back three, because Christensen did get subbed out, all did fine defensively for the most part. Christensen in the second half really started to drop off. First half he was fine. In fact, I was even sitting there thinking, he still does get pulled out of position sometimes. But I tell you what, on the ball and when it's a one-on-one, defensive play, he does fairly well. And in the second half, he started just diving into challenges. He started giving the ball away. He started just losing track of himself. So I guess I jinxed him because, it went from Christensen's a good player to Christensen still has a long way to go. Silva, on the goal, he did get caught sleeping a little bit. I know it was technically Jorginho's guy, but Silva should be able to read that situation and cut out the pass before it gets to Chiesa. So it's one of those, I blame Jorginho for not watching. I can't remember the guy's name now. It's the guy that assisted. It was Jorginho's man that he just sort of let run past him. But also Silva should see that as well and either get Jorginho to run with him, or if he sees Jorginho's not going to, be there before the guy can make a pass. But he didn't read it either, so both of them were turned off, and that led to the goal. But aside from that, Silva was just his typical, just calm, composed, no real issues in the back. Any scenarios there were some times when he was caught out with pace, but that's something where when you're playing as high as we are, sometimes he is going to get caught out on pace because he's not the fastest. And unfortunately, when we're playing against a team that's looking to just sit back and counter on us, there's going to be that scare of, is he going to get beat for pace? But for the most part, he's very good at reading the situation to not put himself in that situation. So overall, it was an okay game for him. It wasn't anything too bad, just that one mistake that sort of tainted his overall good game. And then Rudiger, just some stupid decisions. I will say, again, very similar with Mendy, the slow play was all around, but Rudiger, for me today, seemed a lot slower than he normally does. Seemed a lot slower than just, knocking the ball around. It seemed very slow. I feel like he could have done a lot more to help us get going forward and kind of finding passes that would help us get the ball forward and get past the first line of defense from Juventus. And then the two in the middle, Jorginho and Kovacic. Jorginho was kind of today, just some giveaways, not that great, but also not terrible. It was kind of a very average Jorginho performance, which is not really that good. He just a little slow whenever it came to knocking the ball around again, and just because we're building through our midfield and through our defense, when they're the ones playing slow, it just contributes all around. But there's also a lack of movement, so it's hard to really blame one person for it. But I feel like especially for Jorginho, because he's supposed to be the one that's linking up play and he's supposed to be the one distributing a bit, getting the ball past that first line of defense, the fact that he didn't do that at all today it really hurt us. And it's why we lacked a little bit going forward, because we couldn't get past that first line of defense. So, and then Kovacic was just awful again today. Bad giveaways. Nothing really going forward. Had a couple of decent passes that almost brought him up to like a 4 out of 10. But honestly, based on his performance today, I would give him 2 or 3, just because he was so bad. He was just constantly giving the ball away, constantly turning into pressure, constantly not working hard enough. I don't know what's going on with him, but he is a shadow of the player he has been for us. And I don't know where that came about. But, again, I actually put Jorginho ahead of him now, and that's not something I've done since he's come in. So I don't know what's going on with him, but today was another very bad performance, and it hurt us because we lost out sometimes in the midfield because of it. Alonso on the left side, another very average game from him. A couple times got forward. One thing I will say that I appreciated a bit more today, just because Chilwell came in after and allowed me to appreciate Alonso, because you don't know what you got till it's gone. His crosses, corners, free kicks, just crosses from open play, so much better than Chilwell's. Chilwell's just lofting the balls in, just kind of little chip, and the defenders are like, okay, a floated ball is what we want all day. Whereas Alonso will drive it in. Not always the greatest. Sometimes they're overhit. Sometimes they're not to anybody. But they're better than Chilwell's. So, but yeah, pace is definitely something that hurt him today, which is why I think Chilwell came in for him. Because Cuadrado down that right side was just running him ragged. He's beating him to every ball almost. And just constantly putting him under pressure, so he didn't really have time to do much today. On the right side, Azpilicueta started there and just a busybody again. Not great going forward, but his work rate is why he always plays, because he's constantly trying to make things happen, even if he's not the best. So it's really hard to critique him because he works so hard and because he puts in a solid performance always. But with that being said, the critiques do come again because we lack creativity today, and Azpilicueta didn't help with that. He's not good enough in the final third. So it's something. I know he doesn't always play there. I know sometimes he's playing in the more back three. But if you're going to be playing there because James is out, you got to get better. You got to get better at moving the ball quicker. You got to get better at your crosses. It's just something that's got to improve. And then the front three, Ziyech was awful again today. Bad touches. One in particular that just really stuck out to me. That kind of exemplified our performance overall. The ball comes into him. And, Juventus were playing with almost a back five always. It was very rare that they didn't have at least five behind the ball. But what we did that helped them with that is the ball would get past that first line of, you had the forward, and then you had kind of two or three behind him, and then you had kind of one that was just sort of either it had just gone up in the attack or something. So they had five, kind of a front five and then a back five that would initially go down, and then if they lost it, they would get back quickly. So whenever we win possession, you would think, get past that first five, now you're able to attack just that five. Because they always look to just pack it in as soon as they possibly can, get all 10 outfield players behind the ball. So why would you want to allow them to do that? Why would you want to help them with that? And so there was a moment, ball comes up to Ziyech, past that first five pressing, and his first touch, about 20 yards the other way, behind the front five, and now they've got all 10 back again. So just that one touch, obviously it doesn't really, that's all Ziyech had today was just that one touch. There was more to his game than that, but it kind of just exemplified how we were playing today, so it's something that stuck out to me. But yeah, overall, he did have a lot of bad touches. He did have a lot of moments where he should be doing more with it. We've seen what a clever player he can be. He's not showing it right now. The past two games he's played, he has not been effective. He's not done anything that's made me think, I want to see Ziyech. And that's the problem, because he's a player, especially today, where they've packed it in, they've parked the bus. He's a player that you would expect. He's creative enough. He's clever enough. He's going to make something happen for us. He's going to create chances. He's going to give us an opportunity to score. Doesn't do a thing. Does not do a thing. Very active. He was all over. He was getting on the ball, doing nothing with it. Either he's taken a bad touch, which is now forcing him to go backwards, or he's not reacting quick enough. He's too slow on the ball, and then it's getting poked off of him. So it was a bad performance from him today, and it's a string of bad performances from him. And I don't know if he's just upset because he's not getting enough time, but, performances like this are not going to give you more time. If anything, it's going to give a chance for Mount, who's not really having a great year so far, to step into it. Or if Pulisic comes back from his injury soon, it's going to give Pulisic a chance to step in. Loftus-Cheek is playing well. He could play, I don't want to see him further up the field, but he could play in more of a midfield three, which now means you take one out of the front three, and Ziyech's going to be the first to go. So, yeah, I'm disappointed with him. I think he could be doing a whole lot more for us. I know it's kind of a high standard for him, but I've seen his ability, his talent on the ball. He should be doing more, and he's not. So very disappointing from him again today. And then Havertz, not terrible. Of all the players in the front line, I would say he was probably the best, but it still wasn't good. So it's more a sense of how our front line performed today, that he was our best player up there, because he really wasn't that great. And honestly, I mean, heading. Let's talk about his heading, because that's two clear-cut chances that you wasted. You had nobody on you. It was just you heading the ball, put it on target, and he ducked his head and knocked it off the top of his head and gone over. And how can you not head the ball correctly at this level? You know, if you're getting challenged, you know, if somebody's jumping up with you and you two are both going in, and then you kind of, you know, try to flick it and then hit, that's different because you're under pressure. You got a challenger coming in, but he was free. He was wide open. Nobody's challenging him. He's running onto it, which means all you got to do is just put your head on it and deflect it toward the goal. It's going to be difficult, as long as you don't put it right at the keeper, to save. He puts them both over. So two very clear-cut chances that he wasted kind of makes his performance meaningless today. You know, I hate to say that, but you worked hard for the second half. First half he was a little slower, but again, everybody was playing slow. Second half he did step up a little bit, though. He started making some more runs. He started getting on the ball more, trying to make more happen. Juventus were stepping off, which was allowing him time to play in the box. And you didn't do anything with it. So, yeah, it's a performance that is just not that great. And it's something that I expect to see more, and I'm not. So, yeah, I don't know what's going on with him, but he's also not playing up to the standard that he's set for himself. And then Lukaku, like I said, statue today. Yeah, just worthless. I mean, yeah, apparently he's a finisher. Didn't show it today because he had two clear-cut chances. One, a header that he completely mishit, and then one, he finally did something, turned the defender, and then blasted it wide. So you didn't even finish today. So what did you do? You stood around for about 70 minutes, and then for the last 20, you finally started to move a little bit, and then you wasted the two chances that you got. So why did we pay $100 million for him again? Because, again, Werner, when he's on the field, even if he's missing clear-cut chances, he's busting his butt every single game. You put him out there for 90 minutes, he's going the full 90. He's working the full 90. He's putting the defense under pressure. He's making runs that now defenders are having to track. He's running into the space behind the defense, which now they're having to drop off to account for that. He's working his butt off, and the players around him are generally benefiting from it. But when your striker is just planted in the center, not moving, just waiting for the game to come to him, we start to get forward. What does he do? He runs right alongside the defender, doesn't try to run away from him, doesn't try to get around him, doesn't try to check to, just runs same path as the defender. What are we paying you for? You're not doing a thing. This is 2 games in a row that he's done this. Like I said, against Tottenham, I felt like he was marked out of the game. I thought he was actually still working hard. He was busting it. He was trying to make things happen. He's holding up the ball. He's showing defeat and then letting the defender get pressure on him, and he's holding up the play. Man City, he's standing next to the defender. He's not checking. He's not making runs. He's standing. Juventus, standing next to the defender, waiting for the game to come to him. So this is 2 games in a row now that you've been completely just not involved. And not because the defense did a great job of marking you. It's because you're not doing the work. You're not putting in the work. You're walking. You're jogging. You're not running. And because of that, you've made it very easy for the defense to play against us. Because when there's no movement up top, we play very predictably. Knock it around, 1-2, nothing there, knock it back around, knock it back. It's very predictable, and now it's very easy for the defense because they just have to stand and wait and wait and wait. And then one of us made a stupid decision, now counter. And that created the best chances. They had 30% of possession in the first half, but they had 2 clear-cut chances because all they did was just let us knock it around. We're not doing anything dangerous. We're not doing anything dangerous. Make a mistake, boom, they're on it. And that's all it was because Lukaku made it easy. made it easy to defend because he did not do anything to upset the defense. He did not do anything to make them work in the first half. I think the biggest issue I had with him throughout the entire game, in spite of all of this stuff, there's a moment where ball comes in the second half and it's bouncing. It is bouncing around. And I'm just thinking, somebody get on it. Somebody get on it. Havertz is there. Lukaku is there. And what do we see? Standing. Standing and waiting. And Juventus eventually clear it because of it. So just a lack of desire to get involved. And yeah, in a game like this, in a game like City, we need the strikers to step up, and they didn't. So on to the subs. Chilwell, like I said, he came on, didn't really do anything, didn't really impress. And again, the position is his for the taking because Alonso's not really done a whole lot to show why this position is his. Like, he's done okay, had some good games, had some bad games, not really done anything to cement the position. So this was a chance for Chilwell to step up and say, I want this spot. And he did not. Went out there, looked slow, looked turned off, didn't really get himself involved, bad crosses, just nothing from him. So I don't know why he doesn't want to take that spot, but I mean, if he's happy sitting on the bench, then so be it. I guess with that being said, his name is Ben Chilwell. Ben Chilwell. So maybe he's happy being on the bench because, I don't know, maybe that's how he feels. It's good that I could still make jokes at a time like this. The three that came on, Chalba, like I said, he worked hard, but just not the player we needed for this game. We did not need a more defensive player. I get the idea that you put a defensive player in there, it allows Loftus-Cheek and Kovacic to be more attack-minded, but the problem is that they still were not. They weren't really getting forward, and on top of that, I don't know, at this point you kind of want to just get everybody that's not in the defense up the field. Because it's not like Juventus is leaving a whole lot forward, so you don't really have to worry about having a defensive mid to stay in front of the defense while your wingbacks go forward, because there's only one striker. So really, you just have to have your back three defend the one striker, and that's it. So the fact that we brought on a defensive mid in a game like this where they had all 10 men basically almost in the box, you don't really need that defensive mid. So I thought that was a weird choice, but I mean, he came on and worked hard. He helped us a couple times when they started to counterattack on us. So he was good to have in defense after Christensen was subbed off. And then Loftus-Cheek, I mean, he came on, he worked hard. He's still showing that he's willing to put in the work over these past few games. And I think this has been the one bright point from these two losses is two good Loftus-Cheek performances. I thought he played well against Villa, and I think he had another good performance again today and against City. So I think he's really putting in a bid, especially with how Kovacic has been performing and Jorginho's been kind of I think Loftus-Cheek is showing, hey, I can play. We don't need to go get Gallagher back from loan yet because we've got Loftus-Cheek stepping up in these moments. So I hope he can start to get some more time, especially, I hope Tuchel is seeing these bad performances from Kovacic, and it's not another example of like how many bad performances Jorginho put in last year and he just kept giving him time anyway. But that could be the case. I don't know. And then Hudson-Odoi, he did provide a bit more attacking motion down the right side. Again, he's better on the attack than Azpilicueta is. The only problem is just he's a little naive. Some moments where it feels like he should be a bit more clever, be a bit better at taking on a defender and then putting in a good cross, and he's just kind of taken on the defender and then tried to drive it low when the defender's sliding in. In those moments, you either lift it over him and go down for a foul, or you just chip it in, try to find somebody's head. But, I mean, overall, he was still our best attacking option in the second half. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, pretty much. And then finally, Barkley, and like I said, I don't understand that. I don't get that choice. Dumb decision. You had Werner. Werner should have been your sub. Barkley came on instead, and he was Ross Barkley. Waste of space. Bunch of little cuts that go nowhere, several touches, and then just pass it off to somebody that you had about 10 seconds ago. He's still Ross Barkley. He's not done anything to improve. He's not done anything to show I'm a Chelsea player now. He's still just that one player that could have been something and then never was. So, yeah, I mean, it happened last year when he went to Villa. He was all of a sudden, oh, it's Ross Barkley. He's back. He's going to blow up the league. And then even by the end of the year, I mean, Villa weren't hardly using him. So, I don't know if you heard that. That was my dog yawning. Chelsea put you to sleep too, bud? Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so, I mean, it's another loss. Tuchel's lost his good favor with me from these 2 performances, but they were really, really bad, stupid performances from him and stupid decisions from him as well. And the players, I mean, they've got to step up as well. I mean, some of them have to step up and say, hey, we've not been performing well either. Because, yeah, it's been bad. It's been very apathetic, very lazy, stupid too. Like I said, a lot of dumb decisions today. Bad passes, on the ball, taking too long, and just a lack of creativity, a lack of just any ideas up front. So, yeah, I mean, these 2 games have really put us on the back foot now. Thankfully, I think we've got Southampton, which will be a difficult game because, I mean, they've drawn against both Manchester clubs, so clearly they're no pushover. But that's going to be a difficult game, and I think, thankfully, we have the international break to kind of hopefully pick ourselves up and say, all right, bad way to end this little run of games, and then go again. Because, yeah, I mean, we've got to do something, or else our season's going to start taking a very sour turn very quickly. I mean, we already have a trophy in our trophy cabinet, thank goodness, but, I mean, that better not be our only trophy, but right now it very well could be. So, anyways, all that being said, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on this game? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all the good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Chelsea reviews, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.